everybody. So we are a couple of weeks into 2014, but due to holidays and power outages and one thing and another, it's taken me till today to get around to finally telling you by video what my 10 favorite books of 2013 were. I presented these a couple of weeks ago in the form of a contest with pictures. Some people played along and guessed, and those people are going to win copies of a book that was on the list. I'll tell you about that at the end of the video. But for now, I want to tell you about my 10 favorite books, starting at the bottom of the list and working my way up, although this ranking is really arbitrary, and you know, most of these books could have gone in any other position, and there are of course a lot of others who could have nearly gotten into the top 10. Illustrated with a picture of a piece of torn paper is Justin Lee's book Torn, Rescuing the Gospel from the Gays versus Christians Debate. It is a fantastic book and one I super highly recommend to anybody who has any interest at all in this issue. Number 9, a picture of an urn, illustrated the book The Universe versus Alex Woods by Gavin Extence. That was a really fantastic novel I found extremely engrossing. It starts off with Alex getting caught at the border with an urn full of someone's ashes on the seat of the car, and the whole story kind of spins out from there. So that's why I used the urn. Really highly recommend that book. Very funny and thought-provoking. Number 8 was a picture of not just any old tattooed arms, but Nadia Bolz-Weber's tattooed arms as featured, along with the rest of Nadia, in her memoir Pastrix. Really loved that book. Highly recommend it. Best memoir I read in 2013. Number 7, Afghanistan, Khaled Hosseini. Every book is great. I seem to like every one more than the one before, and I really loved And the Mountains Echoed. Found it engrossing and sad and sweet. Number 6, a sort of Chinese epic from my favorite fantasy author, Gavriel. River of Stars is set in a kind of parallel universe China that delves into both history and fantasy, and again, a really intense, intimate, personal story that also has a huge historic and epic sweep. I had a great year reading historical fiction in 2013. It's my favorite genre anyway, and so many good books came my way this year. I'm just going to run through a few of them. My number 5 book, The Painted Girls by Cathy Buchanan, takes a real-life person, the girl who was a model for Edgar Degas' sculptures of ballerinas, and fleshes her out and gives her a family and a neighborhood and a whole story which is poignant and wonderful and so beautifully written, so evocative. Number 4 was the last book I read in 2013. I illustrated it with the wash tub because there's so many really powerful details about everyday life and women's work, but it's Longbourn by Jo Baker, which tells the story of Pride and Prejudice from the point of view of the servants. Fantastic book. A little bit of botany there for number 3, The Signature of All Things by Elizabeth Gilbert. I did love Elizabeth Gilbert's memoirs, Eat, Pray, Love, and Committed, but I really love her historical novel about a 19th century woman botanist, vividly realized and incredibly engrossing. Number 2, chose the picture of the baby to illustrate Kate Atkinson's Life After Life, which is, yes, historical, but there's more to it than that because it plays with our whole idea of time and storytelling. Ursula gets born in England in 1910 and dies at birth, but then she gets another chance, and her life keeps getting relived over and over again, sometimes managing to avert disaster and sometimes plunging straight into it. And even though there were all these great historical fictions this year, my number 1 pick, illustrated with the birdhouses, which are such a powerful symbol of grace and hope in this novel, is Jocelyn Jackson's Somebody Else's Love Story. I love all Jocelyn Jackson's books. I'm pretty sure this is my favorite. It is definitely a powerful love story, but maybe not the one you expect going in. I read just about 100 books this year, depending on how you count. Like, I had 3 novellas. I didn't know whether to count as 3 books or 1. I had a book that I read but forgot to review and didn't post on the blog during the year. But anyway, you can go anytime to Compulsive Overreader and see the books that I read and what I thought about them. I had 2 ongoing reading projects this year. One of them was to read a book of poetry every month. I did not quite accomplish that goal, but I certainly read a lot more poetry than I usually do. I read poems by all of these poets and found beautiful things in all of their work, and I definitely plan to continue reading more poetry. It's something I have to discipline myself to do, but it is wonderful. I also had another project where I was going to read a classic novel every month, either one that I had read and not really liked or fully appreciated or had forgotten about, or one I had always intended to read but never gotten around to. Again, I didn't get one every month because some of them were really long, but I did read these 9 classic novels during the year, and of them, Les Miserables, the unabridged, although English translated version was definitely my favorite. There were some other great ones. Almost every one of them I enjoyed more than I expected to. Without a doubt, Tristram Shandy was the hardest slog on the list. I'm just glad I got it over with. So I've already read some good books in 2014. I can't wait to continue blogging about them and video blogging about them and sharing them with people who also love books. Let me know what you read in 2013 that was great, and I will be back with more book reviews at Compulsive Overreader and here on the vlog.